Welcome to our explainer. Today, we're digging into a pattern that so many of us can get stuck in, often without even knowing why. We're talking about relational trauma. It's a heavy topic for sure, but wrapping your head around it can be an absolute game changer. So let's just start with a question that, might hit a little close to home for some of us. Why does it feel like I'm playing an unwinnable game? Why do the same bad things seem to happen to me again and again? Especially when it comes to relationships. This feeling is captured perfectly by someone the psychotherapist Juha Klaavu worked with. They said, "My life was generally manageable and pleasant when I wasn't in a relationship. However, every time I started a relationship, chaotic forces would manifest in my life. This isn't just a coincidence. It's a real, deeply ingrained pattern." And psychology actually has a name for this cycle. It's called repetition compulsion. It's this unconscious drive to replay a traumatic event or the feelings around it over and over again. And the key word there is unconscious. This isn't something you're choosing to do. It's a powerful force that works below the surface, pulling you back into situations that feel familiar, even if they're painful. So if it's not just a string of bad luck, what's really going on? How does this compulsion actually work? Well, it all starts with the way we see the world itself. Think of it like this. None of us experience reality directly. It's like we're all wearing a pair of tinted glasses that are colored by our past, especially our past pain. So that lens, it filters everything. We're not seeing what's actually there, we're seeing what our trauma has trained us to expect. And here you can see just how powerful that filter is. On the left, you've got reality, a totally innocent, offhand comment from a friend. But look at the right. Seen through that lens of trauma, it becomes a deliberate, malicious attack. It's designed to hurt you, and worse, it confirms all those deep-seated fears you have about not being good enough. The lens literally twists reality to fit the narrative of our old wounds. Okay, so what is the specific tint on these glasses? What's the unspoken core belief that's driving this whole pattern? Let's get to the heart of it. This right here is the core belief, and it's captured in the title of Juha Klaavu's work. It's this deep, often totally unconscious conviction that says, the good does not belong to me, and it is always taken away. Now, this isn't just some negative thought you have once in a while. No, this is a foundational truth that your entire psyche organizes itself around. This idea is so powerful, it even shows up in Finnish culture. There's this famous poem, Song of Happiness, that just tragically captures the outcome of this belief. It says, "Whoever has happiness, let him hide it. Let him enjoy his happiness, alone and quiet. Happiness cannot bear the eyes of others." It's this deep, gut-level fear that if you show any joy, someone will see it and take it away. And this core belief, it's not passive. It actively shapes how we act. It can lead to this deep mistrust of everyone and everything. You live with this constant fear that every good thing has a hidden, painful price tag. It creates this chronic anxiety just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And maybe the most tragic part, it can lead us to unconsciously sabotage the good things in our own lives just so we can control when we lose them because we believe the loss is inevitable. So a belief this painful doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. It has a very specific origin, and it's rooted in the nature of trauma itself. Now, this is a really important distinction. We usually think of trauma as a single, big, overwhelming event, like a car crash or a natural disaster. But relational trauma is different. It's not about one bad thing that happened. It's the result of a long-term, damaging relationship, usually with a parent or caregiver who was consistently emotionally unavailable, unstable, or maybe even rejecting. And one of the key dynamics that really gets to the heart of this is when a child is treated not as a subject, a whole person with their own feelings and needs, but as an object. And as an object, the child isn't really seen. They're just seen as an extension of the parent, there to fulfill the parent's emotional need. The author points out something that's, it's fascinating and also pretty heartbreaking. He says that when an adult defines their happy childhood by saying, "I was well-fed and had clean clothes," it almost always hints at a hidden truth. It means their physical needs were met, sure, but their emotional needs were deeply neglected. They were cared for like an object, but not nurtured as a person. So what does that actually feel like for a kid? Well, it means your real, authentic feelings are just ignored or maybe even punished. You learn pretty quickly that your main job is to please your parents and manage their emotions. Your own genuine interests, they get dismissed unless they happen to line up with what your parents want. And the most devastating lesson you learn is that your true self is somehow wrong, flawed, and unacceptable, and that it needs to be hidden away if you want to be loved. Okay, so we've traced this whole thing from the chaos in adult relationships all the way down to its roots in childhood. So, what do we do with all this? What's the big takeaway here? You can really see the path to understanding laid out here. It's like a chain reaction. First, you start to recognize the repeating pattern in your life. Then you can identify the lens, those tinted glasses you're seeing the world through. From there, you can actually uncover the core belief that's coloring that lens. And finally, you can give a name to the origin of it all: relational trauma. Just seeing this sequence, just connecting the dots, can be incredibly powerful. And this is a really, really important point. This whole framework is not about blaming your parents. So often, the parents who cause this kind of trauma are just unconsciously passing on their own unresolved pain they inherited from previous generations. The goal isn't blame. It's to develop understanding and compassion for a cycle that can go back decades. And as the author concludes, simply understanding why this is happening can bring such a huge sense of relief. One person put it this way: "It's not some mysterious or unknown problem without a cure. Now I understand what's wrong." Just having a name for it, a framework for these confusing, painful experiences, that's the first and most powerful step toward change. It turns a chaotic mystery into a problem you can actually start to solve. So this leaves us with a final, really powerful thought to sit with. What if the first step to changing a painful pattern wasn't to fight it or resist it or shame yourself for it? What if the key was to just turn toward it and try to understand its story with compassion? Because that understanding, that's where the path from repetition to real freedom begins.